882 6PR.
If you'd like to have a chat to Ben Aylett, now's the time to jump on the phone, ask him any questions you have with relation to your technology, whatever your technology is. If it ain't working the way it's supposed to, pardon my bad English, he's the man to have a chat to. G'day, Ben.
G'day, Chris. How you going?
BenAylet.com
That's right.
is a website. He's also identified by his Hawaiian shirt. Am I correct you're wearing the same one twice in the same week?
Yes.
Thought so.
I'm really sort of leaning into the uniform idea.
Well, Hawaiian shirt is a uniform, even though they come in various different colours.
That's right, yes.
So that's all right.
Oh, okay.
How do the
Different
people
colour
at
next
Red
week.
Piranha feel about your uniform?
Look, when it comes to the official events,
Yes.
they're not super wild about it because I'm actually...
Don't forget, Steve Irwin used to go to black tie dinners in his khaki because that was considered his uniform.
Yeah, but that's
So
Steve Irwin. I am not Steve Irwin.
No, but you are Ben Aylett, super geek.
Well, yeah, I'm a geek, kind of, yes. Super
proud
geek,
of
I
it.
don't know. Look,
Mate, that's meant as a compliment. Take it that way.
I am now hanging out with some people that are so insanely smart, I feel kind of inadequate. They are just geniuses. So this is another level stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so, you know...
Do you have fun, though?
Absolutely. I spend a lot of time, with the guys in the sales and marketing area, and they're smart in their own right.
Yeah.
And then we've also got our security operations centre, and the guys there, the security analysts and the security engineers, and of course, the admin guys. They are just razor sharp smart about what they do, and some of the stuff they get into is completely obscure stuff you wouldn't normally expect to see connected up to a computer.
Mind you need to, because every day there's something new coming from somewhere, isn't there?
Oh, there is, and they are just the stuff they're looking at. It'll make your hair curl. It's just amazing. Some of the stuff they look at, it's just incredible.
Well, speaking of incredible,
Yep.
something we're going to talk about, I find incredible,
Yep.
is the ATO, that being the Australian Tax Office,
Yeah.
declines to fix a code replay flaw within MyGov ID. Now, let's turn that into English. What you're saying is that there's a vulnerability with MyGov ID,
Yep.
and you haven't been able to get the tax office to fix it.
Yeah. Now it's called a code replay attack, and it applies in particular to the interface used by agents that use the ATO.
As in tax agents.
Tax agents, yes.
Yeah.
So it's been shown that it is possible to maliciously capture login details and then log in, and it doesn't produce any alerts for the legitimate users. So, it's not a really easily replayable attack. It does take a bit of technical knowledge. It does take a bit of
why are they refusing to attend to it? You were talking about people like you work with at Red Piranha, who you say are just geniuses working with this sort of stuff all day, solving the problems. Surely the people responsible for government contracts and looking after government computers fall into the same category.
Look, you'd hope so. What it appears to be is that on first inspection, they've had a look at the problem and they've had a look at how much it's going to cost to fix, and they've probably said, we'll weigh up the risks. Now, this is all speculation on my part. They've probably looked at it and they said, look, we'll weigh up the risk. If it gets compromised, look, we'll just wear the
So what
wear
you're
the
telling
bad
me is
PR.
typical bureaucratic tombstone engineering.
Possibly,
So people like yourself and others have said there's a problem here.
Yeah.
Rather than go, there is a problem here, we will fix it, they're going to say, let's wait and see how many people get screwed over by it. Then if enough get screwed over by it, we might do something to fix it.
Yeah, we'll wait till the
Mate,
problem
that's-
starts to cost us more than what
it's a
it would cost to
variation
fix.
on tombstone engineering.
Yeah.
And it's a typical bureaucratic response, not good enough. When we're being more and more directed to use these systems like MyGov,
Yep.
they've got more holes in them than a piece of Swiss cheese.
Yes.
They get really antsy and make people's lives an absolute misery when they won't use these systems.
Yep.
Yet when people like yourself come along and go, there's a problem with this, they don't want to fix it. They're looking at it and saying, well, we'll fix it when enough people get burnt by it.
Yeah, look at it
Are
go,
we
yeah, nah.
really going to do that? Whatever happened to being proactive? What happened to being preventative?
Yep. Look, what I've seen, because I've talked to a couple of people about this who are impacted by the problem, and they've taken a pretty interesting approach to it. It's not so much a technical approach, it's more of a risk approach, where they have written an email to the ATO and they've said, look, there is a recognised problem, it's well known, it's published, and if you don't choose to fix it, then if anything happens with my account, I can't be held liable because it is a problem with your system.
Which we have identified.
Which I've identified, yeah.
The other thing, of course, going hammering your local federal politician saying what's going to be done about this. That's another way, because ultimately the government's responsible.
Yeah. Look, unfortunately, MyGov has been plagued with all sorts of problems, PR and also technical-wise, and it's just been like your typical government IT project. There's very few.
The person who won the contract was the person who put in the lowest tender. How did they do that? Well, they were told to build a wheel and they cut so many corners we now have an octagon and the wheel's not turning that well. That's effectively what happens in this scenario, isn't it?
Well, look, it has, I guess. I mean, we can only speculate again because we're not privy to the inside workings. But
except we know what the problems are, because and so do most people, because ultimately at some point they become victims of it. I mean, here we are with organisations attached to the government that's telling us to be cyber aware, and they're not being that way themselves.
Different departments, Chris, different departments.
Doesn't matter. Hypocrisy is hypocrisy. It doesn't matter what colour shirt you're wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an amazing story when you look at it. But what's amazing is not that the problem's there, right? I can accept that given all the different computer programs we have, there'd be problems. What I find really hard to get my head around is that the problem's identified and somebody doesn't say, I'm going to go and fix it. I'm going to go and fix it before anyone finds themselves screwed over by this system.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But no, they say, well, wait and see if enough people get screwed over by it before we do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, they are missing an opportunity to jump on this and fix it. People have, out of the goodness of their own heart, they haven't done this for money. So the researchers who found this are doing this, just because. And they found a problem, they've disclosed it, and based on the feedback they've got from the ATO, they've decided to go public. And this is typical of the way things go in cybersecurity with vulnerability, like security researchers and the general public. And in most cases, departments or businesses or the people who have the flawed system, they usually say, "Hey, look, thanks very much for that. We'll get on to fixing it." And some even pay what's called a bug bounty. So they actually pay like a check just to say, "Hey, look, thanks very much for all your work. Here's some money for your trouble," and you can actually make quite a lucrative living out of it. So, if you can reverse engineer or find ways to break things, you can actually get some money out of busting stuff up.
I like the way. Now, if you'd like to have a chat to this man, if you want to find out about some of your own problems, can they be solved? Even if you've been told something, and you think to yourself, is that right?
Yeah.
Look, it may well be. On the other hand, you might be being a fed of the pile of the old cobblers because whoever you were speaking to just simply can't be bothered to do anything about it. Yeah. This man can help. His name is Ben Aylett, benaylett.com, 1 L, 2 T's in Aylett. That's also where you'll find all of his contact information. I'd like to have a chat to him now, though. There he is, sitting there, all friendly and raring to go. 922 11 882.
$1,000 in your hands.
1 minute to win it.
6PR's $1,000 minute on weekday breakfast.
Thanks to Perth Window and Door Replacement Company.
Listen out for your window of opportunity.
What better way to start Sunday overlooking a beautiful view while enjoying a delicious English breakfast at Golden Ponds Baldivis. For just $20, you can sit down to sizzling bacon and eggs, tasty sausage, a crispy hash brown, baked beans and toast, as well as tea, coffee or an orange juice. That's a full English breakfast for just $20. Every Sunday from 8:30am to 10:30. Golden Ponds, Mundajong Road, Baldivis. Visit goldenponds.com.au.
It has never been easier to have a well-kept garden, and there's nothing quite like the perfect lawn. Unlock hours of free time with Husqvarna Automower. Enjoy more time doing what you love while your lawn is kept in perfect shape. Husqvarna has intelligent robotic mowers for every size and shape of lawn to give you a lush green cut. Upgrade your everyday with Husqvarna Automower, the smart way to mow. Find your perfect match at husqvarna.com.
Elevate your life at Highland Range. The outlook has never been better. That's because 17 new lots have been released at this sanctuary in the Darling Range foothills. with many offering views over the city or the hills and 5 bordering picturesque Wiltshire Park. With a starting price from $280K and up to $69K of government grants towards your build. Now is a good time to buy. So don't delay, T's and C's apply. Visit developmentwa.com.au/Highland Range.
My ears help me enjoy time with my family. My ears help me enjoy celebrations. My ears help me stay connected to those who matter most. So test your ears every year with one of our qualified audiologists. Call the National Hearing Care hotline on 13 My Ears to book your free hearing test at one of our 300 locations Australia-wide. Call 13 My Ears. That's 13 69 32 77 to book your hearing test today. 13 My Ears. Brought to you by National Hearing Care.
There are just 3 words you need to remember when your truck needs repairs. Chamberlain Auto Electrics. We're about good old-fashioned service, workshop or mobile, trucks, semi-trailers, earth-moving, even buses. We have ample parking to get your vehicle repaired. Breakdowns happen at the worst times. That's why we have an emergency after-hours service to get you back up and running. Call me, Stuart, at Chamberlain Auto Electrics. But remember, if you get us out of a warm bed in the middle of the night, conditions will apply.
Need to stay on top of your invoicing? Xero makes it easier. It's online accounting for small businesses of any size that makes preparing and tracking invoices simple. Try Xero for free. Search XERO today.
Until midnight on 6PR, this is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley.
If you'd like to have a chat to Ben Aylett, 922 11882 is our telephone number. His website's benaylett.com. 1 L, 2 T's in Aylett. 922 11882 is our telephone number. From the world of fun,
Yeah.
I see where we have or we're about to get both a new Xbox and a new PlayStation. Now, I'm assuming the PlayStation will be the PS5.
Yeah, you got the PS5 and there's also the PS5 digital edition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they got 2
Is that a
versions.
bit more fancy schmancy, is it?
Actually, it's like a step back a bit. So, yeah. So what both of the systems have gone for this year is that they've got like your full-blown version.
Yes.
So, you know, it's got all the bits and pieces in it, plus it's got its optical drive. So it retains that Blu-ray player.
Yep.
And the digital ones is digital only, meaning you can only install games directly from the store. You don't go to...
So you don't have any
retailer.
discs, it's hard drive only.
It's hard drive only and it's downloaded over the store, so there's no optical drive.
Gotcha.
And so it saves a few dollars.
Yep. And one would imagine it's a drive with a huge capacity.
1 terabyte, I believe, is what we're
that's all right.
looking at. So,
That's all right.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And what about the Xbox? The latest Xbox was the Xbox One, so what's this new one called?
Okay, so the new one is the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. So the Series X is the one with
X sounds more fancy schmancy.
It is.
Yep.
So it handles 4K TVs at up to 60 frames per second.
Yes.
The Series S is 1440 lines, so it's just a little more than high definition, just not quite 4K at 60 frames per second. So it's still a good frame rate. The storage on the X is 1 terabyte. The storage on the S is half a terabyte. And you can
go for the X.
Well, yeah, go for the X. The X has got a US retail price of $499. The S is $299 US.
Still better off with the bigger one. What about the PS5? What's that?
The PlayStation 5, you've got the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 digital edition. I'm just trying to track it down now because it's come and gone.
Did you say all of these that were up for sale have already gone?
Yeah. Yeah, so the pre-orders have just been, it's just there and
gone.
People have missed out. So it's got to the point where people have been refreshing the page over and over again to try and put their pre-order in, you know, and put down that $50 or $100 deposit for the console.
And they can't do it.
And they get to it and then they put in the details and they say reserve it and it comes back out of stock. So
are you better off just going to your local JB Hi-Fi and saying, can I book one? Because they're going to order in a whole bunch, I would imagine.
Yeah, they're ordering in a whole bunch as well. But again, supply issues are hitting them too. So there are a few people who are missing out on a launch console for the very, very first time. I think Pete is one of them from Good Game. From Pentanet Good Game. Pentanet GG. Yeah, so, heart goes out to him.
Indeed.
I saw some of you.
Indeed. I'll tell you something else. Lucas is going to be spewing too.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Norman.
What the future of Windows?
What's that?
The future of Windows.
Future Windows?
10? It's the next Windows after 10.
We won't be seeing a next Windows after 10. It's going to stay Windows 10, but what we'll be seeing is like big seasonal releases of new features for Windows 10. So it's going to be Windows 10, and I'd say the 9 2020 version, and then next year is going to be 3 2021. So it goes by the month that the major release is released and the year.
Why are they doing it that way?
Well, it's working for Apple. Apple are doing everything is OS X for Apple, and they're just doing like updates to the software as they go along.
Okay, so you don't get a new version with Apple, you just get an OS, whatever the number is.
Yeah, it just gets updated a bit. So it's
sorry, iOS.
OS X.
OS X.
OS X, yes.
Why do I say iOS?
That's for the phones.
Right, gotcha. Yep.
And to make things more interesting, you've also got Pad OS and Watch OS.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
Well, hopefully that information helps. So they're just going to stick, everything's going to be Windows 10, and then it will have a version that will correspond to that particular year.
Yes.
And you'll still get, I would imagine, get the regular updates, and you'll end up with a version that will come in. It might change the way the face appears, and you'll be able to change to some new fancy schmancy layout and all that sort of stuff.
I don't think we'll be seeing much in the way of the interface layout. We might see some extra features, but they're not going to be readily apparent.
Is that because less and less people have PCs and they're all going to phones? It doesn't matter what style of phone you're using, everyone's going to phones, aren't they, really?
I think it's more because every time there's been a major release for Windows, there's been a major change in the interface. And every time that happens, you get a lot of blowback from the public. So when we went from Windows,
some work well, some don't work so well, and but there are some versions that we don't talk about.
Yeah, so I think Microsoft has learnt from this, and they've said, okay, we're just going to stick with one. We're not going to monkey around with the way it looks and feels. We'll settle on this. Everyone will get used to it, and we have less problems to deal with. So that's I think that's the reasoning behind the way that they'll be presenting Windows from now on.
Now, just before we finish, what do you know about the government's high-speed gigabit fibre broadband?
The high-speed gigabit fibre broadband, I'm not entirely sure what is going on with that. I mean, we've been burnt before.
There is talk about free upgrades and all sorts of stuff with this, but I don't know if it's actually going to happen. Just before we finish, Mark wants a word with us. Good day, Mark.
G'day, guys. How we doing?
Good, mate.
G'day.
Just a really quick question about the new incarnation of OS X, Big Sur. Is it worth upgrading from Catalina to Big Sur?
Well, what sort of hardware are you running?
It's a 2015 MacBook Pro, so I've done a bit of research, and the machine should be able to handle it.
Okay.
I'm just wondering whether all the additions and the tweaks are going to be worth it.
Yeah. Are you running any sort of like special software at all? Any sort of audio processing?
Not at all.
All right. If you're not running any special software, you should be able to do the upgrade without too much hassle, I'd imagine.
Good stuff. Thanks very much for that, Mark. Yeah, it's one of the... A lot of this stuff comes along, but it's funny how we have to ask that. You'd think you'd be able to say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to upgrade, but we can't do that because, to borrow the old analogy, there's always a catch, isn't there?
Yeah. There usually is.
Yeah. So people like Mark have to phone up and say, gee, can I do that?
Yep.
Whereas you should be able to go, yeah, I like the look of that. I'm going to do it. Doesn't work that way. Ben, as always, your time is much appreciated. Don't forget, benaylett.com.
Yes.
1 L, 2 T's in Aylett. That's where all the contact information is.
That's right.
Shoot the breeze next week.
Catch you then.
We need to get your uniform sorted out with the boys at Red Piranha too.
Right.
Up late?
John, since I've been listening to 6PR after midnight, I'm on the same